Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
And welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Mackenzie Warren Kay of McDonald Carano and Fred Lokken of TMCC discuss the current election cycle. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
What kind of a man lies to women? This one. Steve Sisolak is lying to us about abortion, opposed to contraceptives, no exceptions for rape or incest, abortion ban. Joe Lombardo doesn't support any of those things. Sisolak is a desperate man trying to hold on to power. Our schools are unsafe, police are under attack, and families are struggling. What kind of a man covers up his failures with lies? This one.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are pleased to welcome back to the program Fred Lokken. He is professor of political science at Truckee Meadows Community College. And coming to us from Las Vegas, Mackenzie Warren Kay. Congratulations on your marriage. And she's an attorney and vice president of government affairs at McDonald Carano. Pleasure to have you both here to go over what's going on with our political season. Mackenzie, have you ever seen a situation where both the private and public polling shows that this race is so close?
I haven't. It's honestly truly something. We know that, at a national level, the control of both houses is hanging in the balance. We know that an incumbent governor is fighting for his life and Nevada is at the crossroad. So we hear it a lot. Nevada is purple. Nevada is purple. I think this will be the test. And I think the campaign that is giving us this test is Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. She is running an absolutely surgical campaign, leaning into her Latino roots like she'd never, done before. And she's in a dead heat. So it's truly amazing to watch. And when clients or friends ask me to predict, I say I couldn't. I'm not a pollster and I don't even pretend to play one on TV.
Well, and I'm in the same boat, and it's stunning to me that after 8 years as Attorney General, a 2-year break at UNLV, and then 6 years in the Senate, that Catherine Cortez Masto is still introducing herself to the state of Nevada. Each of the senators in Nevada have huge PR staffs, and yet it seems like nothing really breaks through. I go to D.C. once a year. I'm practically the only reporter that comes from Nevada to D.C.
I will say Senator Cortez Masto is probably doing the best job in broadening her message. I think, we're seeing a ton of focus on the Dobbs decision overturning Roe versus Wade. It's my view that if Democrats hang their hat on Roe, they will likely lose. In part because it's complicated, it's personal. There really is not something known to point to understand whether this motivates Republican women to come out or Democratic women to come out. And Senator Cortez Masto has really broadened. She's looked at law enforcement. She's racked up a ton of influential Republican endorsements. She's talking about her record on human trafficking. She's talking about her record on the economy and for working with the other side. And, you know, I always love asking candidates, I'm talking more at a local level, what are you hearing at the door? Anecdotally, it doesn't seem to be Roe. People are talking about the economy, and in Nevada, they're talking about education. And I think the education point really is going to play a larger role in the governor's race than maybe we might think.
You know, Fred, you know, James Carville said this years ago, it's the economy, stupid. When people are driving past those gas pumps and they see those prices rising, doesn't that jump to the top of the list? And also when they go to the grocery store and the price for bacon and eggs, basics.
Well, and given the demographics of the state, with 80% in Clark County, that's where the personality of the election really is, and that's ultimately what's going to drive the outcomes on November 8th. And the economy in Clark is different from what it is up here in Washoe County. There are a lot more people still struggling to get back to work, to be regular in that work, and the costs are real. I mean, there are a lot of people that are being impacted. So yes, the economy, stupid, should be driving this election. The fact that it's not are the countermeasures, you know, some of which she's mentioned. We also have the whole issue of the election deniers. I mean, there are some people that react to that. We have, when I look at the election and how it's going to go, I've said that we've kind of drifted away from purple to blue, but the blue voters have had to be motivated. There are things that changed between January and now that suggest that they are motivated, but you've got to keep them motivated. The deciding issues for the Democrats historically in Clark County is the Reid machine. And with the loss of Harry Reid, how effective is the Reid machine doing? What I see is the culinary union is out, it is walking. They're even walking here in northern Nevada for the first time to my door. And so I think that there are factors and structural organizations to the Democratic Party that help it in spite of the economy. But at the end of the day, on November 9th, we could be looking at this and saying, yep, it was the economy. We'll have to see.
But Mackenzie, you look at both state parties, and they're both a disaster. Whether it's the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, they both have separate organizations. Now, the Republicans have had essentially a separate organization for decades, but it's the same story with the Democratic Party. In the past, we've looked at Nevada and said, okay, so you have Clark County, strong Democrat, rural Nevada, strong Republican, Washoe is still the swing county. Do you believe that that's still true today?
I think largely that is true, but to your point, Sam, I think the registration numbers are indicative of what's happening. We're seeing flight and migration from both parties, and we're seeing, while Democrats have a slight advantage, those nonpartisan numbers are climbing. The question, and I appreciate Fred bringing up the election denying issue and some of the more far right principles, is that we've seen an emergence of very to the right Republican candidates that may not fit a typical Republican voter, arguably may not fit a nonpartisan voter. So by the very product of the infighting and the unrest of the parties, they've put forth people which Democrats funded. I think Jim Marchant for Secretary of State is a great example. Democrats wanted Jim to win because they thought that Cisco Aguilar would be able to defeat him. The polling's in a dead heat. So will Democrats be able to rally and carry this strategy across the line? I think the biggest concern of both parties is that nonpartisan figure and whether those undecided will be motivated to get out and vote, and whether those respective candidates fit their ideal of who they want to see in office.
Well, you know, the other side of this, Fred, is the marketing side, which is all these TV commercials that you're seeing that are endless. I hate him, I hate her, they're terrible, they're worse, you know, and it's like a Three Stooges, you know, TV show with people whacking each other. Then you look at candidates like Cisco Aguilar, who has this amazing track record, and yet the marketing, to my mind, has been terrible, that he's barely been out there, that most people are not aware of who he is, whereas Jim Marchant, in a lot of ways because of negative publicity, has gotten far greater name recognition.
Well, I agree with Mackenzie that it's clearly the nonpartisans that will decide the outcome in this state and in a lot of states this year. It's very large in the both key counties with 95% of the voters. And the thing is neither Republicans nor Democrats know how to market to them or how to connect with them. And they've struggled. I can understand. Somebody's going to figure it out, but it may not be in this election. Because really, most of them at this point in time in both Washoe and Clark are refugee moderate Republicans. There have been Democrats leaving recently, but the bulk of the nonpartisans are former Republicans, and they were kicked out of a party. They basically are going to have a real struggle casting ballots for most anybody in that party based on some of the extreme positions. So the polls, I don't think, pick that up, and that's why I think it's going to be really interesting to watch how this election plays out. At the end of the day, we've always had close elections, even when we were still, sometimes kind of red or kind of blue. People like Harry Reid pushed through it, and I think some of the candidates are going to be able to push through it, and we're going to be surprised by their margins of victory that will not correlate with any common sense that we're trying to apply to this election.
Well, and Mackenzie, one of the other things that's always been interesting in Nevada politics is that the powers behind the throne, the Sig Rogiches and people like that, have been very pragmatic in who they chose to support. So in the Harry Reid case, it was Republicans for Reid. You're seeing another Republicans, for Democrats group coming up here, but not nearly as strongly as the group that Sig Rogich put together, which was over 200 very solid Republicans, for Democrats. But I guess my thought on the nonpartisans is that, are they really nonpartisans? Are they, as Fred described, just Republicans and Democrats that don't feel that they have a home in their own party?
I think that's exactly what it is. And going back to our previous discussion about the economy and the trend that Democrats are just drilling down on Roe, it's so much bigger than that. And I think a large miss in the gubernatorial race on the part of Sheriff Lombardo is hammering the governor for his treatment during the pandemic. I think we've seen a huge influx of Californians to Nevadans that are, frankly, fed up and talking about the treatment during the pandemic, the inefficiencies of government, what our kids lost being out of school for that long. And I think the juxtaposition of Southern Nevada and Northern Nevada is real. Kids up in Northern Nevada went to school earlier. And I think we're going to see a difference in testing and in progress. I know at least here in CCSD, the testing they've done thus far just shows a dramatic improvement of even just a few months back in the classroom. So I truly think this is going to come down to the economy and the state of Nevada, and a deep frustration with either side of not doing enough in this endemic state that we're all in. We're still feeling pains of the pandemic, and I think that's a miss on either side of really honing that and cutting to the core of what a Nevada voter may be thinking. And Fred is spot on when he says that there's really no tact and no approach to connect with these nonpartisan. And there's almost a bit of trepidation, not knowing why they're nonpartisan, why they've left their party. And that messaging and that lack thereof, I think is really chipping away at the success of either side.
All right, so Fred, then that brings up another point that Mackenzie raises here, which is that in debates, it seems like we need debate school, we need marketing school, because a lot of the points that she just raised here are excellent points if you want to win an election, which is basically take the discussion away from the moderator. Yes, sir, that's a great question. Yes, ma'am, that's a great question. But here's what I want to talk about first. And jump in and go after these issues. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of mothers and fathers with kids who are in school. The kids missed their proms, they missed their football games, they missed, a whole, beyond the just basic learning. And the parents were very upset about that, and yet that's not been something that's been used. And it just seems to me that just from a basic debating point, that's where I'd jump in.
Well, I agree. Well, debates are never genuine at any level in our democracy.
Except here on Nevada Newsmakers.
Yes, well, fabulous job, fabulous job. But you knew what you were up to. You asked a lot of questions that never got addressed. They try to get to the talking point. And years ago, Nevada got hijacked by the national level and by outside interests for both parties. And they tend to drive these campaigns. A lot of money comes in. They want to see that money come in, but they wind up kind of picking the topics instead of the candidates and the campaigns would in this state. And I see that the issues that most Nevadans probably want to talk about are not necessarily the issues that are being raised on either side. Starting with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so, under the circumstances, I live for the day when we go one way or the other, so we're not under this. I traveled several years ago to other states during the election and found out how wonderfully sedate it was, how respectful relatively it was. It's toxic here. We have evil people that have taken over the political process, and Nevadans are suffering severely from stupid, ignorant, very negative, distorted advertising. And it's such a struggle for voters to find the information. It's a very frustrating democracy in Nevada right now.
Okay, and on that hopeful note, we'll take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
I don't know if you know
after this time out.
For now, abortion is legal in Nevada. But Adam Laxalt wants to change that. He called Roe versus Wade a joke.
Roe v. Wade was always a joke.
Electing Adam Laxalt means giving Mitch McConnell the power to pass a nationwide ban on abortion that would overturn Nevada's abortion protections. Adam Laxalt has shown us who he is on abortion. We should believe him. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years.
Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
The 10th annual Nevada Newsmakers Goes to Washington is brought to you by the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. Compassion, accountability, integrity, respect. The Nevada Mining Association, mining a better future for Nevada. And NV Energy. NV Energy proudly serves Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue to look at this current election cycle with Mackenzie Warren Kay of McDonald Carano and Fred Lokken of Truckee Meadows Community College. Mackenzie, who ever thought that Dina Titus in CD1 would be, in quotes, battling for her political life?
I don't even know what to say. I will say her opponent, she's probably giving him a little more airtime than she should. I think he's an unknown, and I think if Dina loses, it's because of the redistricting, and it's because of just the overall dissatisfaction and the apathy that we're seeing across the board. But it's truly amazing just how negative and how expensive this airtime is becoming. I will say Treasurer Zach Conine is probably one that stands out, who's taking a more refreshing approach. He has the stereotypical voice moderator, and he says, "Okay, scary voice guy," and then he comes in with just an upbeat, more friendly approach, and his ad stands out. I haven't seen it run on TV. I saw it on YouTube, and I think that probably just attests to how expensive it is for this airtime. But we're truly seeing commercials and attacks that we've never seen from candidates that we've never seen from.
Okay, so you raised a couple of interesting points. The first one I want to bring up is I was back in D.C. a couple of weeks ago interviewing the congressional delegation, met with some folks who are a major buying agency for political ads across the country. They said that the cost of a commercial in Jeopardy in Las Vegas is currently, instead of around $300, $350, $32,000. Let me repeat that. $32,000 for a spot in Jeopardy. And the media buyer said to me, so here's the conundrum. Do I buy half a new car or a spot in Jeopardy? That's insanity.
It's astonishing. And, it's no wonder that we're seeing the record numbers that we've seen. And, I'll go back to Senator Cortez Masto. I mean, she is absolutely just sitting on a treasure chest. And again, we're in a dead heat. So is money gonna get this thing done? I don't think so.
Well, I think that the marketing has missed the boat in the same way that the newspaper industry has missed the boat because they've now become charities rather than functioning businesses. And I think the political world doesn't understand that people aren't watching television the way they used to watch it. And so they're able to skip by, Fred, all these commercials if they choose to, or they can hear them once and just move on, but they're not getting actually that message 10 times over every day. And they need, as Mackenzie says, to find a new way to reach the public with real issues.
Which is what other democracies learned a long time ago. The last full election in 2020 cost over $7 billion in this country. An election in Great Britain, probably as a national election, probably costs about $300 million. It is such a, because they regulate the airwaves, they don't allow for private contributions. All parties get an equal amount of money to spend, and they do it in a limited time. Gosh, that sounds so nice. I think the average American, especially the average Nevadan, would hug politicians if they actually did something commonsensical for a change and fix this.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be right back after this.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're going to continue this week to have discussions about the election, so perhaps you can understand some of the backstory. We're here with Fred Lokken from Truckee Meadows Community College and Mackenzie Warren Kay with McDonald Carano. So we've only got time, I think, for one more race here, Mackenzie, and that's the Susie Lee April Becker CD3 race. It seems to me that that one truly is a toss-up.
It is, and I think, talking about negative ads playing up, I think Susie Lee's just own personal wealth. We're seeing the tagline that she got a briefing and she cashed out $3 million. That resonates. It has to. April Becker has been chipping away. She gave Senator Majority Leader Nicole Cannizzaro a run for her money. So she's been working. I think her name, unlike some of the other opponents in some of the federal races, April Becker does have that name recognition. But Susie Lee has a good bipartisan track record. She's working very hard, but truly amazing that this race too just is a dead heat.
Fred, your thoughts on it?
Well, I agree. Again, it's playing out like every other race. There is such an uncertainty as to what the voters are going to be motivated on. Personal attacks do work. Negative ads historically have worked. That's why they keep plugging the airwaves. But you can overdo it. I think that we'll remember this as the election where we finally reached the peak. And I think we could be seeing on the other side of the election that many of these ads and strategies kind of wound up backfiring because voters were just tired of the excessive negativity.
It's kind of like a bunch of kids going, he touched me, no, he touched me, no, he touched me, and who cares? That's where we have to leave it. We do care because there's an election coming up and we all need to vote. Thank you both very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Great show. And we'll be back after this.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
The 10th Annual Nevada Newsmakers Goes to Washington is brought to you by the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. Compassion, accountability, integrity, respect. The Nevada Mining Association, mining a better future for Nevada. And NV Energy. NV Energy proudly serves Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com. You can also check our archive going back to 2005 on our website. Again, nevadanewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.